Special talkback guest today is Joe Karam. He, of course, for the past 6 years, thereabouts, has been campaigning to free David Bane. He's here to take your questions, so quick fire them because we have a ton of them on hold. Right, we start in Dunedin. Good place to start. Marie, good morning.
Good morning, Mary.
How are you? Can you hear Marie all right, David?
Yes, I can, yes,
okay,
Joe.
I beg your pardon, Joe. Sorry, yes.
Joe Karam, why are you doing this? You're destroying this boy. I mean, he's got to accept his responsibilities. He is guilty as sin. And the police can't be wrong, the judicial system can't be wrong, and the government inquiries can't all be wrong, surely.
Okay.
Is that a question or a statement, Marie?
Would
the
you
police,
tell me?
you're telling me the police are never wrong?
No, I'm not telling you that, but they have never had a multi-murder of this size in New Zealand. So surely they can get one or two little items wrong and not be accused of totally botching the thing.
Well, the problem with the case, Marie, and I don't know how well informed you are, but the jury did not hear all of the evidence. Much of the evidence they did hear was wrong. The detective, in fact, who sued me, admitted under oath during my trial that his evidence on a most crucial matter was wrong and that it misled the jury. The other detective who sued me, under cross-examination, made the statement that if he'd been asked, he would have told the whole truth. Now, you will know that when we go into a trial and we swear our oath, we tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. This did not happen in the trial of David Bane. And I might just ask you, Marie, and I'm not sure what your viewpoint is or your background, but imagine that it was your son in prison who was locked up on the basis of false evidence, spurious evidence, and a very, very bungled inquiry.
But Marie's point is that David Bane has been convicted by a jury of his peers.
Exactly, but precisely. But my point is that the jury did not hear the proper evidence.
How much of the evidence did you hear, Mr. Karam? How often were you in court?
Well, as you know very well, I wasn't in court.
That's correct.
Precisely, but I've now... The Governor-General, through Mr. Goff, has now sent the case back to the Court of Appeal because on the four major pieces of evidence, and Marie, it's a good question you ask, and let me just perhaps give you 4 examples. The primary reason David Bane was arrested in the first place was because the police found his bloody fingerprints on the murder weapon. They assumed, hastily as it's now turned out, that these bloody fingerprints were evidence that he had been involved in a struggle during the killings, and that's how they got there. In fact, the bloody fingerprints I have uncovered since the trial, through DNA tests, are made in animal blood and are totally unrelated to the murders. That's one piece of evidence that's been referred back to the Court of Appeal. Another piece is that a glasses lens found by a detective, this is the one who admitted that his evidence was false and misled the jury. He says it was a mistake. I have a different view, but regardless of whether it was a mistake or not, that lens is the subject of patently false evidence, the presentation of a photo that said, here is the lens where I found it. There is no lens in the photo.
Okay, and what are those other 2 things?
The other 2 things are the time that the computer was turned on. David Bane could not even have been home when the computer was turned on and the message on it was written, sorry, you are the only one who deserved to stay. David Bane was seen doing his paper round when that took place.
But that was an eyewitness account, though.
Well, it's a very, very clear eyewitness account. The lady who gave that evidence, and there are actually 2 of them, and it's strange how little things can happen. Again, the police didn't find this out until after David was arrested.
Okay, and quickly, the 4th thing?
The 4th thing is to do with David said in his evidence that he heard, or he thought he heard, Laniette, his sister, making gurgling noises when he came home and found, and the Crown put to the jury that only the killer could have heard her making gurgling noises. Well, in fact, the question is, to the Court of Appeal, is that in fact right? And in fact it's not, because there is a large body of anecdotal evidence and expert evidence that bodies emit sounds after they are dead.
Okay, thank you, Marie. Mary, good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm just ringing up, finding out if the house hadn't been burnt down, would it have belonged to David as the only surviving member?
Only if he was not convicted. When you become convicted, you lose your rights to the property, which would have otherwise been yours if the victims were involved in the ownership of that property.
Okay, thank you, Mary, for your question. What emotional, this is a fact, what emotional toll has fighting David's case had on you?
Oh, well, the toll on me is I'm starting to learn to live with it now. It's been a social toll, you know. I mean, I can't walk out my door, whether I go to the shop, whether I get an aeroplane, whether I go to a restaurant, whatever I do, without being questioned about what I do. And so it's a 24, I can't escape it. It's impossible, not because I choose not to, but because in a little country like this, it is impossible. So it's sort of, I suppose it's financial, it's social, it's emotional, because, well, just normal type relationships.
Now, talking about emotion, how about David? How is he?
David probably, David is a strong person. He is in awe, really, at the support that he's had from people, and that's really what keeps him going. His friends in Dunedin, the ever-growing list of people who write to him, and the fact that I do what I do. I mean, my family, my children visit him. And so, I mean, I didn't use that little phrase lightly earlier on, that it was love that busted out Hurricane, and it's love that keeps David going, and it's given him a belief in himself to keep going, you know, to fight to the next day, which he didn't previously have.
Joe Karam is my special talkback guest today. Any questions that you have for him concerning the David Bane case or anything else in Joe's life, of course, we